guess what?
You won't be trusted anymore.
I know. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe, floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's Wednesday, hump day. Don't be a chump day and crump day. And these are the WTF reports. I'm your host, DavevonKleist, and we are broadcasting live at 2:05 Eastern Time, and that's 11:05 a.m. Pacific Time. So if you're listening during those periods of time, you can call in. Yeah, because this show is rebroadcast around the clock, but if you're listening during the hours I just mentioned, that means we're live, and you can call in, and the number here is 215-867-8255. And I'm definitely going to encourage audience participation. Precipitation? How did that happen? Because what I want to do is I want to talk about waking up. What is it that woke you up? All right? What event happened? Or was it a slow process? Was it a shock to the system? Was there one particular event that made you tilt your head to one side and go, I mean, so we're going to talk about waking up, all right? That's sort of the theme of the day. So, the phone number here is 215-867-8255. And I'm going to start off by just telling you my own personal experience in waking up. To be quite honest, even when I was a kid, I knew that there was something wrong. There was something wrong. I remember, the holidays were coming and everybody's getting ready for Christmas. And I could see people hurrying and scurrying to and fro, hither and yon, spending all their money, getting these presents and sticking the Christmas tree up there, going into hock, trying to make sure that you have, gifts and presents for everybody. And, okay, well, I want to make sure I get this person a nice gift. It was all about the materialism. And I remember I scratched out a picture of Santa Claus. I was just doodling, and I made this picture of Santa Claus, and he had his hands behind his back. And up just over his shoulder, you could see a club with a $sign on it. And underneath I said, "Glory, glory, hallelujah, Santa's gonna sock it to you." Because I saw the materialism. And I saw that people were more concerned with materialism than they were with the celebration of the birth of the Messiah, which, by the way, I found out was not December 25th, but that's a whole nother story altogether. But no, I was aware of that for some reason at a young age. And it wasn't until years after that I discovered in the Bible, as a matter of fact, in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, and I want to share it with you because the holiday seasons are coming. We got this satanic ritualistic holiday coming up in a couple weeks here, Halloween. And then, of course, we have Thanksgiving. But then, okay, we're going to get bombarded with all the Christmas TV commercials and commercialism, go into hock, spend your money, go into debt. And that's not what it's all about. But in Jeremiah chapter 10, I'm just going to share with you the first few verses here. It says, "Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not." I'm going to stop right there. All right? I mean, does not that sound like a Christmas tree? And it says right there, it says, learn not the way of the heathen. One cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and hammers, that it move not. That sounds like a Christmas tree. And they deck it with silver and gold. And it says right there, don't do it. It's the way of the heathen. And then I started thinking about this, this Santa, S-A-N-T-A, and it's an anagram for Satan when you think about it. And doesn't Santa Claus have these little elves running around, Well, Satan's got his little demons running around too. And I got to thinking, well, maybe this whole Christmas thing is just a way to misguide or redirect away from the whole point of the holiday to make you think about materialism. Because that's sort of where it's gone. People aren't celebrating the birth of the Messiah. No, they're celebrating Santa Claus.
Santa's coming. He's going to give me goodies and presents and fill my stocking with candy.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what we're taught when we're kids. So anyway, I just wanted to share that little thing because that bothered me. That bothered me for a long, long time. But I still didn't put the puzzle pieces together. I mean, after all, I was, in my early teens at the time. But I knew that there was something wrong. But anyway, I went through my young adult years, and, I've always been a musician and a singer, playing guitar and chasing that rock and roll rainbow, trying to find that brass ring and hit it big, be a rock star, be a, famous and rich and all that kind of stuff. But I got sort of not necessarily sidetracked because I've always had a speaking voice. And so I got my broadcaster's license in 1979. I was at the University of Hartford. And, I started doing radio. And as time went on, I worked at a couple of radio stations. I ended up as a staff announcer in New Haven, Connecticut, at WTNH Channel 8. And so anyway, I was there for, 7-8 years, I guess. And during that time, that was during the first Gulf War. And I remember being in the newsroom one afternoon. And again, this is the first Gulf War with George Bush Sr. and Norman Schwarzkopf and Colin Powell and, Kuwait and, the coalition and all that stuff. Anyway, I was in the newsroom one afternoon when they were going to be sending back through via satellite just some video without any audio, just video stuff. They call that B-roll in the business, so the announcer can be doing his, reading his story and then you get to see video stuff. Anyway, they were sending back some B-roll, and on this one afternoon, the feed started coming in, and I was looking at it, and I saw our military bulldozers dozing bodies into a pit. I said, oh my gosh, look at this carnage. Good Lord. And behind it it looked like an apartment building and some playgrounds. I said, what is this? And then, of course, that night, Peter Jennings with World News Tonight. More Americans get their news from ABC than any other source. And now, Peter Jennings. Well, the bombings continued in Baghdad today, but of course, there were no civilian casualties because America's using smart bombs. I said, what? I just saw it with my own eyes a couple hours ago. They're lying through their teeth. And so that's sort of like what got me going. But along with that, at the time, I was also reading a book. It was called Who Killed John Lennon? It was written by Fenton Bresler. You might want to see if you can find that book. But that was a very interesting book, and that introduced me to the concept of MK Ultra. And apparently, Mark David Chapman, who was John Lennon's assassin, had very close ties with some of the organizations that were tied to MK Ultra. MK Ultra and the CIA programs utilizes the YMCAs all over the country for some of their operatives to hang out. And apparently, Mark David Chapman was one of those people who was being handled by, an operative in the YMCA. Anyway, so that seems to be somewhat unrelated, but I mean, that combined with what I saw that night on the news, just that sort of set me off. And that's what made me start really paying attention. And then, of course, there was the Oklahoma City bombing. Yeah, we all remember that, don't we? Yeah. Well, that was something else. I had just started doing a talk show. And I was on WATR AM 1320 in Waterbury, Connecticut. And anyway, while the rest of the world was paying attention to O.J. Simpson, I was paying attention to the Oklahoma City bombing. I mean, we were getting O.J. updates every 15 minutes, if you recall. Yeah, well, guess what? When people tuned into my show, I said, if you're looking for an O.J. update, I want you to change the dial. I don't want your listenership. So, because I'm focusing in on the Oklahoma City bombing. And I want to share with you a song that I wrote about that, and I included the audio of the original television reports from the affiliate stations. And like I said, this was primary in my mind. Everybody else was talking about O.J. Simpson. I was focusing in on the Oklahoma City bombing. I was talking to Representative Charles Keyes. I talked to General Ben Parton. I talked to several of the news editors and producers from the local affiliate stations in Oklahoma City. So anyway, this is a song that I put together, and I included the audio from the original broadcasts on April 19th, 1995. Now, of course, we were all told it was Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols, and it was a truck bomb, and he was one of those American patriot, militia types. Yeah, but that's not what happened. That's what happened after the feds got there and after the networks got there. They had to spin the heck out of that because they didn't want the real truth to go out. So anyway, give a listen to this tune. I was pretty pissed off when I wrote this, and I included, like I said, all the original news clips. And this was one of my major wake-up calls. And again, I want to know what your wake-up call was. Anyway, this is a song called OK, Can You See? And that's OK as in Oklahoma. Enjoy.
In Oklahoma City, one fateful April day, the lives of many innocents were taken all away. At first the truth was broadcast for all the state to hear.
I think he said another bomb.
Oh my God, another bomb.
People ran in fear. The helicopter flyby, the crater wasn't there. Sophisticated bombs were found, but vanished in thin air. An artist drew a picture of how the crater's supposed to be. They published it in Newsweek for all the world to see. The story of a car bomb soon became a minivan, but they settled on a Ryder truck as they devised their plan. The seismograph in Norman recorded 2 events, but it never was reported. This cover-up is immense.
A second bomb was found on the east side of that building. A bomb squad is on the scene. That second bomb has not exploded. We don't know quite the status yet if they've managed to defuse it, but it has been confirmed that a second bomb was found on the east side of that building.
So apparently they're going to try to get out that third bomb that's been talked about.
The networks joined the cover-up. Now they're part of the crime. Tom Brokaw, Peter Jennings, and Dan Rather should do time. I ask you, OK City, how could you let them tell those lies? Were you too scared to take a stand? Were you deaf to all those cries? You claim to love your country, but refuse to get involved. And until you open up your mouth, this crime just won't be solved.
In fact, what we were told at the scene a few minutes ago was that, in fact, 2 different explosive devices were found in addition to the one that went off.
So a total of 3.
A total of 3, and of course then there was mass confusion.
The second explosive was found and defused. The third explosive that was found, and they are working on right now as we speak, I understand, both the second and third explosives, if you can imagine this, were larger than the first.
This is the work of a sophisticated group. This is a very sophisticated device, and it has to have been done by an explosives expert.
We actually have got defused bombs.
If our government was truthful and had nothing there to hide, then why were these reports ignored and quickly pushed aside? They said it was those patriots. Militias took the blame to discredit those who tell the truth. That's how they play that game. Then they destroyed the evidence to let the memory decay and quickly pass a terrorist bill to take your rights away.
Keating, Governor Frank Keating.
The reports I have is that one device was
was deactivated. Apparently there's another device, and obviously whatever did the damage to the Murrah building was a tremendous, very sophisticated explosive device.
America, wake up.
Are there any circumstances under which an individual is justified to blow up any building?
After you've evacuated it and you wanted to cover up the evidence.
Ooh. Anyway, so that was that's a song I wrote shortly after the Oklahoma City bombing, and like I said, that lit a fire under my butt. That coupled with the idea that some of the alternative broadcasters started to hit the airwaves. I had a part-time job at one point where I was driving a little delivery truck, and they only had an AM radio. And after I got sick of hearing Rush Limbaugh, I turned the dial and I discovered Chuck Harder and the For the People Radio Network. Does anybody out there remember Chuck Harder? Rest his soul. Yeah, so I was listening to him, and I also got a shortwave radio, and I discovered Tom Valentine and William Cooper. Yes, Bill Cooper. I listened to him. I used to set he was on at midnight on WWCR, and I used to set I had a tape recorder / radio, and I could set it to be able to go off and start recording, so I would have it the next day. But anyway, so yeah, Bill Cooper was a big influence, and as a matter of fact, I had the pleasure and the honor of interviewing him twice on my show. And he woke me up to a bunch of stuff. As a matter of fact, I got his book, Behold a Pale Horse. If you haven't gotten that book, you really should have a copy of that. This is a very important landmark publication. And by the way, if you do want to search for it, make sure you get the original one. There's another version that's been released, and it doesn't have the documents in it. Okay? So you want to make sure that you get the one that has the documents. So anyway, but I wanted to share part of that with you because this leads into this whole concept of eugenics and basically not population control, but population reduction. And that, of course, was etched in stone, in granite, and the Georgia Guidestones. Of course, they were blown up a couple years ago. By whom, I don't know, but I applaud the effort, for sure. But the number one tenet on the Georgia Guidestones, and I can quote, it says, maintain humanity at no more than 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Yeah, isn't that sweet? Yeah. So, if they want to maintain the population at no more than 500 million, and we're over 8 billion now on this planet, so what are we going to do with 7.5 billion people? How do you get rid of 7.5 billion people? Well, Bill Cooper sort of touched on this particular subject many, many years ago in his book, and I'm quoting from the book here. It's Behold a Pale Horse, page 166, and I'm going to pick up halfway through the chapter here, and he's talking about World War I, World War II, the baby boom, blah blah blah. But anyway, I read now from page 166. It says here. Studies were done to determine a method to arrest the population explosion before the point of no return would be reached. It was determined that an immediate attack on the problem would involve 2 points of intervention. The first was to lower the birth rate, and the second was to increase the death rate. To lower the birth rate, several programs were put into motion. The first was the development of positive birth control methods using mechanical, in other words, diaphragm and condoms, chemical, which would be foam and birth control pills, and medical, which would be sterilization, abortion, and hysterectomy procedures. These were developed and implemented. The women's liberation movement started with the demand for free abortions, using pro-choice as its rallying cry. Homosexuality was encouraged, and gay liberation was born. Homosexuals do not have children. Zero population growth became a hot subject at cocktail parties. Individual freedom, the heat of the moment, religion, and the old blue laws sabotaged these efforts. And while zero population growth became a reality in some areas, population increased rapidly in others. The only alternative left to the world's ruling elite was to increase the death rate. This was a difficult thing to do, as no one wanted to pick people out of a crowd and line them up for execution. Neither did they relish the possible consequences of an enraged public upon discovering that they were being systematically murdered. Of course, a very short but very deadly global war using nuclear weapons upon select populations, considerations were contemplated and, to tell you the truth, was not ruled out. The fact that such a population control was even contemplated confirmed the worst fears of those who had participated in the 1957 study. War was put on the back burner to simmer, that may become a reality. In the meantime, something else had to be done that would absolve the decision makers of guilt and place the blame on those who did not lead clean lives. Something could be blamed upon Mother Nature. What was needed was a bubonic plague or some other horrible natural disease. The answer came from Rome. Several top-secret recommendations were made by Dr. Aurelio Pecci of the Club of Rome. He advocated that a plague be introduced that would have the same effect as the famous Black Death of history. The chief recommendation was to develop a microbe which could attack the autoimmune system and thus render the development of a vaccine impossible. Orders were given to develop a microbe and to develop a prophylactic and a cure. The microbe would be used against the general population and would be introduced by vaccine. The prophylactic was used by the ruling elite. The cure would be administered to the survivors when it is decided that enough people had died. The cure would be announced as newly developed when in fact it has existed from the beginning. This plan is a part of Global 2000. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Now, this book was written, I believe it was 1993. Let's see here. What year was this? I believe it was 1991. Excuse me, 1991. Yeah. So anyway, he was already talking about the plan for Global 2000, which became Global 2020, I think it was, and now it's Global 2030. They have their plans. Yes, they do. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you because these things that we're watching unfold before our very eyes in this year of 2025. This has all been, discussed, planned, and basically mapped out for decades. So I wanted to share that with you because, like I said, Bill Cooper was way ahead of his time. As a matter of fact, I have a little clip here from a presentation that he gave before he was murdered, and here it is.
Their whole purpose throughout history has been to teach a small number of people how to become adept at controlling everyone else. Their goal is to destroy all existing religions save theirs, all existing governments save theirs, and shackle the mob in a system of eternal oppressive debt chained to a computer for the rest of their life, and a propagandized world to make them believe that they are happy in this system. Now, do you think they're succeeding? Haven't I described to you just now exactly what is going on in the world today? Yes, they're succeeding. They're succeeding because the American people don't understand their enemy. They don't even know what's happening. There's a method to their madness. There's really not much method to yours, because you're operating from a place of ignorance. And until you change that, you're going to be bumbling around, bumping into each other, saying and doing the wrong things, not understanding the nature of your enemy. And if you don't understand the nature of your enemy and the weapons they use, you cannot fight that enemy. You can't fight the battle. You shouldn't even be on the battlefield. That's why you're losing the war. And don't tell me you're not, because I'm in a place of great knowledge about who's winning and who's losing this war. And I can assure you, you're losing the war. This country was founded by dangerous men. Amen. And the moment the people in this country cease to be dangerous men, it's going to be the day we cease to have a country. And I'm going to tell you right now, unless we can be successful in creating a real free press where the American people get different viewpoints other than those expressed in the establishment-controlled media, there's going to be a civil war in this country, and it's going to come soon.
Yep.
The only thing that can stop it is by waking up vast amounts of sleeping people. Sheeple is what they are. They are following the Judas goat right into the shearing pens, and from there they will go to the slaughter, and they will not know that anything is wrong until they smell the blood of the sheeple in front of them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he was right all those years ago. And if you want to have a visualization of what most of Americans seem to look like, I want you to let your jaw sort of just drop open like, And if you want to add a little drool to it for the effect, yeah, that would work. And then let your eyes close at about halfway. Now, picture that. Drool. That's what like 90% of the American population are like. They have no flaming clue about what's going on. And those who think they do because they're getting all their information from the mainstream press, which we know are propagandizing, gaslighting, manipulating, massaging, and lying. And I've been screaming about that for decades. And that's why the theme song when I start the program every single day is a song called "You Won't Be Trusted Anymore." And it's dedicated to the mainstream media. And I wrote that 30-odd years ago. But the bottom line here, Bill Cooper, you just heard him. The only hope we have is to regain a free press. And by the way, Bill Cooper started publishing a newspaper, which I subscribed to. It was called Veritas, not to be confused with Veritas, which was started by James O'Keefe. But no, his newspaper, man, I wish I had saved those. I had a bunch of those. God knows whatever happened to them through the years. But they were brilliant articles. I mean, they covered all kinds of stuff that the regular listeners to this network already know about. But no, I had a subscription to the Veritas newspaper. And like I said, when I started my radio show in WATR, I was honored to have Bill Cooper as a guest 2 times. Yeah. But anyway, he was absolutely right. Unless we have a free and independent press that's actually going to practice journalism instead of propaganda, there's no hope. And this is why, I look at, of course, we all know that ABC, NBC, CBS, Newsweek, Time Magazine, CNN, Fox, I mean, they're all infiltrated with CIA. We know this. This goes back to the hearings in 1975, the Church Committee. We all know. I mean, it's been that way for at least a half a century. We know actually longer than that. But the bottom line here is that, yeah, for the past 10 years, we've seen several other new news networks pop up online. Of course, there's Newsmax, and there's OAN, and there's Real America's Voice, and there's News Nation, and there's Lindell TV. I mean, there's a bunch of them. But I'm telling you, just as sure as the sun comes up every morning, they've all been infiltrated as well. And right now, of course, Turning Point USA, a lot of people are looking at Turning Point USA and say, what the heck are you doing? I mean, it's become so painfully obvious that they've been commandeered and hijacked by the very forces that Charlie Kirk was trying to expose, that he had become aware of over the past several months. And so I can't help but think, I mean, I look at Turning Point USA, and, what do they say? The road to hell is paved with the best of intentions. And I'm sorry, but I mean, if they were on the right side, they would be joining forces with Ian Carroll and Ryan Matta and Candace Owens and trying to figure out exactly who killed Charlie Kirk. But no, they're not doing that. They're sticking by the narrative that Tyler Robinson was the lone gunman. I don't know what it's going to take. We conspiracy theorists, over the past 10 years, we're batting 1,000. We've been right every single flippin' time. And of course, no good deeds go unpunished. You're constantly attacked and ridiculed and doxxed, and deplatformed, et cetera, and that's exactly what's going on right now on all the social media platforms. They're going after all the people who have the guts to ask the questions that some people don't even want asked. That's where we're at right now. So I don't know, how do we pull this out of the fire? I'm not quite sure. I'm going to take a minute here and think about that.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get More Tank by run screaming to your computer and go to our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and there's a box down there where you click on it, and it'll take you to the Get More Tank website, and you can read all the specifications and details on how and why this fuel catalyst works. No, it's not a fuel additive. It's a catalyst. It changes the way your fuel burns. And it cleans out your engine, gives you more better performance, and after a tank or two, you'll start to see an increase in mileage, and that will make you cock your head to one side and go, wow, I'm getting better mileage, and my car goes when I hit the gas. So, $20. Use the promo code REDPILL101. You're going to save 10%, and for $20, you get 5 tablets. Each tablet goes in a tank of gas. And you watch what happens. If you're going to get 20% better mileage, that means the 5th tank is free. It's a no-brainer, folks. Get More Tank. Visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and check it out. Yeah, check it out. Anyway, just wanted to throw that little promo in there. Got to pay the bills, But anyway, the discussion today is what woke you up? What event or circumstance made you open up your eyes and realize that we have been manipulated and lied to our entire lives? And I'm talking about everything. Everything we've been told is horse hockey, snake snot, bull crap, whatever you want to call it. But the simple fact is that once you open your eyes and you see the truth, it's hard to go back. It really is.
I think, frighteningly, we've entered a really sad and concerning period in human evolution. I think this was aided by Hollywood and movies and, of course, $1 trillion worth of propaganda, where human beings have become so emotionally and psychologically fragile that they need to live in a world of beautiful little lies to function. They need to be told that their actions will save the planet, that their actions will save Granny's health, or keep a gorilla alive for $1 a day in a country they'll never see. And they need to believe those lies, even if they're not true. Just like they need to believe that it's okay to be 100 pounds overweight. You're still beautiful. You still matter. It doesn't matter about the strain on your heart. People need to exist in a world where they are reassured that they are good people. And the reason they need to exist in that world is because facing the truth of existence and sustainability, your own ability to sustain yourself, is an extremely hard fact that people don't want to face. We were sick long before mRNA, long before Ozempic, long before the trillions of dollars spent on propaganda since 2014. A sick species that needs to be treated like a child, told that it's okay. I could open a tarot reading account on YouTube tomorrow, become a tarot reader, not even really know what I was doing. But if I was reassuring those who were paying me and monetizing me, that tarot reading account would be 10 times, 100 times more successful than any truther account that I've attempted to build over the last 5 years. It's because they've made us so fragile with movies and television and propaganda. They've made us so fragile that the truth is just too horrific for most to face.
Indeed. Now, I don't know who that woman was who posted that on social media, but she was spot on the money. You know, they say the truth is a bitter pill. Well, that's true. But keep in mind that those of us who were raised and weaned on a steady diet of misinformation, disinformation, and lies, you know, you can't be too surprised that the truth is going to taste funny when you have a taste of it. Okay, we have a caller on the line. Okay, welcome to the show. Who do we have? And okay, we got another one here. Let me see here. Hold and accept. Okay, I'm going to put this person on hold. There we go. I got another. Whoa. Okay, I disconnected. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's see. Who do we have? Welcome to the show. Oh, where'd they go? Oh, boy. I'm sorry, caller. I'm not used to this particular system here. I think I disconnected. So call back again. And when you get connected, listen to the phone. So anyway, sorry about that, callers. I know we got 2 calls that came in. I wanted to put one on hold, and I ended up disconnecting both of them. So sorry about that. Anyway, okay, back on track here. Sorry about that, folks. Again, the question is, what made you wake up? What event or what circumstances opened up your brain? Okay, we got a caller there. Okay, who are you and where are you calling from?
My name is Jamie and I'm from Virginia.
Hi, Jamie. Nice to have you. Are you a first-time caller?
I am.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right, we got another caller there. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to send them to... Okay, the other caller, I'm going to send them to the voicemail. Okay, Jamie, what have you got for me? What woke you up?
So it's really weird because I was homeschooled and raised like in a conservative and Christian house, and I just knew something was like weird, and like I don't know how to explain this, but like one weekend I literally just woke up, things like made sense, and I was like, huh. Like I always knew something was weird and off, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And about 6 months ago, suddenly I was like, okay, things aren't right. And I had to go down this like rabbit hole of trying to figure out what was going on. And I found your show, which is great because, oh my gosh, it's really hard to find people who actually see what's going on. So I just wanted to give people some hope because it just happened to me randomly. And everybody says people are waking up and stuff. I did, but I don't know anybody who has. And if you try to talk to anybody about it, they think you're like a psycho person and stuff, you know? So
yeah.
You're a huge relief, I have to say.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you so much. Well, so
I
said
just wanted to let you know that. So.
Well, how long have you been listening to the WTF reports?
Not very long. Like I said, I have been trying to find like people who actually talk about this kind of stuff, like what's actually happening, and not like And so, there's maybe 3 people that I found over the last 6 months. So maybe 2. So you're one of them where you're actually talking about what's actually happening and not skewed. So I'm new to this. But so I'm just trying to be like, okay, people are waking up because everybody's been awake for a long time. And I'm like, I am so late to the party. It's not like I wasn't trying. I couldn't find the information. So
well, it's better late than never. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm so appreciative of you calling in and sharing your waking experience with me. And I would invite you to do two things. First of all, you can visit my other website, DavevonKleist.com. And check out the music that's there and the 9/11 information that's there. I mean, I've been at this for quite a while. I've got a rather long piece of political toilet paper stuck to my shoe, and been singing about it and screaming about it and broadcasting about it and making documentaries about it. And as they say, no good deeds go unpunished. So anyway, so yeah, visit my website, DavevonKleist.com. And you can also just go to YouTube and just do a search on my name. You'll pull up all 3 albums of politically incorrect, in your face, you lying son of government music. And I hope you enjoy it. And share it with your friends. You know, scream it from the rooftops.
I definitely will. I love it. I will. Thank you, because Rush is gone. So, like, Rush is awesome. And I know, like, I'm like, okay, not into the mainstream stuff, but yeah, you're a great resource. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for saying so. I really appreciate that. God bless.
All right, thanks so much. You too.
Yeah, call in again. Call in again. I love to get the accolades. Okay, cool.
Oh, I definitely want to get some more. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I got another call here. And thank you again for that call. Okay, caller, you're on the air. Welcome to the show. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Okay, Ray from Columbus, Ohio.
Ray, how you doing, buddy?
Well, fine. You know, you speak up so many good stuff. You know, I've been wrestling with that problem since 1972, when I first wrote a letter to the local newspaper when they start talking about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
I said, hey, wait a minute. This isn't all about Jews. As I recall, there was only 1/3 of the people in those camps that were actually Jewish. And I said, the issue that we should be talking about is man's inhumanity against man. That's what we should be talking about, not making it a Jewish issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I have the same frustration. Well, later on, I wrote a letter to the editor, and I said, no, we should not go from Lebanon into Syria. They wanted the Jewish oligarchs wanted us to go in there. It was Reagan's time, and I wrote a letter, don't go in there. And of course, when you write a letter to the editor, they look at it to make sure it's decent and everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a call, my chairman of my department at the university got a call from 4 different people on campus saying that I should be fired and all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He called me in. And I said to him, I said, look, if you want my view on this, I said, I want 4 hours of your time. He said, well, never mind, go away. But then a Jewish faculty member came in and sat in, and we talked about it. I said, what are my views on other subjects, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And finally, they just let the whole thing drop. But I think the action is independent, individual action. Our power is really our money. How we spend our money. And
That's
you brought
right.
up a very essential issue, which is materialism. And there is something going around now called minimalism. And I think families are beginning to say, wait a minute, I'm not going to be a slave to advertising, and I'm going to be careful where I spend my money so that I am supporting people that have our value in our culture, not just anybody. For example, there's about 29 products that they pay rabbis to make it for their food, kosher, to make it kosher. Mm-hmm. And you'll see a U on the package. So in individual independent action, we take our money and we don't buy those products where they're paying rabbis to do their to collect money from them. And all the way around, someone should give us a list on the internet of the companies in America that are from Israel, because I mean you can't talk about Hitler and the Holocaust when you see what's going on in Israel with Gaza and the West Bank. I mean, they're making Hitler and the Nazis seem like Boy Scouts. I mean, what they're doing is far worse
Oh,
than
yeah.
anything that ever happened. Yes. So, but I think one of the big things, and Kirk brought this up one time, he said that the people want to be taken care of, and that's our big problem, because what we have it too good. So when we decide to open our mouth or take action, what we're thinking of is, what are we going to lose? Because we're confronted with two things.
Mm-hmm.
One is, here's what you can gain if you go on with our stuff, and here's what you can lose if you don't. And we got to have the courage, and Tucker said this one time, we just simply have to say no and take the consequences. Until we have enough courage and guts and humanity to say no and take the consequences, we can't solve this. But we can be clever in spending our money and independent individual action, not groups that they can target, but
Right.
individual people doing their thing. So that's my thinking.
Well, you're absolutely right. You know, you vote with your pockets, you know, and you know, you stop and think about it. Our founding fathers pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to establish this country. And then you look at the elected officials that we have in place right now. Do you think any of them would pledge their lives? Certainly not their fortunes. And by not doing so, they have no sacred honor. So, I mean, that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with now. I mean, they're pigs at the trough. I mean, when our country was founded, you know, serving in Congress or in the Senate was not supposed to be a career. You were supposed to go in there, serve a term or two, and then go back to work in your community. That's the way it was supposed to be. But it's evolved.
There were just a few months in Congress. They were there. You know, when you talk about our Congress, they ran to the basement in October 6th with their mask on. That's how courageous they are.
Yeah, right.
And then they stood up 58 times and gave standing applause to Netanyahu when he told how he was slaughtering Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. They stood and applauded.
Yeah.
What person has any character?
Well, they're getting.
I looked up, as you said. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say they're getting away with it because, you know, they always say the Holocaust, never again. And you look at what's been going on over there in Gaza and in the Gaza Strip, and, you know, people are saying that's a Holocaust. No, it's not a Holocaust unless it's done with gas chambers. I mean, that's their attitude. Okay? I mean,
well, there was no gas chambers. I studied the Holocaust because in 1972, when I ran into that, you know, I really looked into it. And there's so many lies, gross lies they got away with.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I know that. So the simple thing is we have to have the courage to take the results. And as you said, the founding father was, you know, your lives, your treasure. Well, they go to Congress to get a treasure.
That's right.
Money, not to sacrifice their money. And as you said, there is no character to them. So the sacred honor, they don't even know what that means.
Well, I'm waiting for the orange jumpsuits, the leg bracelets, and the handcuffs. That's what I'm waiting for. But I'm not holding my breath. So.
Yeah. Well, I do think you're right in saying there is a awakening.
Oh, yeah.
My grandchildren, for example, are beginning to pay attention. So I think there is hope. And the receipts that you bring, and so many women are well-informed, articulate, and right on target. That's the encouraging part. Where are the men?
Well, I don't know if they are men. Something tells me that they're anatomically incorrect. You know, so
yeah, absolutely. Manhood is in short supply, and we need to get it.
Well,
so
they've been telling everybody that masculinity is toxic, and that's possibly why we're in this situation we're in. Hey, Ray, thank you so much for participating in the show. I always look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you take care. God bless. Well, hey, I'm so glad that people called in. Yeah, let me see. Oh, gosh, there's only a couple of minutes left of the broadcast. And to the caller who I disconnected, I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. I love you. Anyway, this whole thing about waking up is bursting the bubble. It's not comfortable. And I understand that. As a matter of fact, I played this clip, the day before yesterday, about the popping bubble. And this is, unfortunate, a process that so many people are going through and they've had to avoid for many years. Let's see, where is it? Okay, there we go.
Is anybody else experiencing the whiplash of watching all of this crazy shit that's happening lately? And then you go to work and you're around a bunch of people who very clearly don't pay attention to anything. And they just don't care or don't talk about any of it. It's kind of crazy. In some ways, I'm a little envious of them because they're so detached from everything and they're just kind of in their own little bubble. I wish I could be that way. But yeah, it's just kind of wild.
Yeah, it is. Ignorance truly is bliss. It really is. And, I have to admire some of those people that are completely oblivious because they're just happy. I kind of miss that.
Imagine living in a world where you're wide awake, okay? You've had the awakening. You see exactly what's going on in the world. You realize that we're living in a simulation, the Matrix, everything's an illusion, but you're living amongst people that are completely clueless, and they think you're crazy.
Yeah.
That's the world I live in. It's a very, my circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller because once your eyes open and you see the world for what it is, you can't go back. And so many people either choose to live in the illusion or they're just blind to it because they've been conditioned that way not to see it. It's a nightmare, really, because they think you're crazy. You tell them stuff and they're so far behind, I don't have the time to get them up to speed, okay? When you truly have the awakening and you wake up, your eyes open up and everything looks different.
Yeah.
And I cannot get somebody there. So I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm just saying, hey, you might want to take a look at this, right? The fact is, most people will never get there. They're going to live blind and live in the system and never see things for what they really are. I'd love to know in the comments below who are you out there that have truly awakened and you see the truth. You realize that we have been lied to by just about everything, okay?
That's right. And keep in mind, folks, that if you bury your head in the sand, your butt's exposed. And they're going to come along with a lawnmower, and it ain't going to be pretty. So unfortunately, that's sort of where we are, folks. And now, and like he was just saying, you get to a point where there's just no more time. I don't want to waste my time trying to wake people up anymore. Well, personally, yours truly, I'm not a religious person. Don't get me wrong. I do believe in God. I do believe in the Spirit. But years ago when I was feeling kind of depressed, a friend of mine gave me a Bible, and I opened it randomly, and it took me to Ezekiel chapter 33. And Ezekiel 33 says, when God sends the sword upon the land, you have to have a watcher on the wall to blow the trumpet. If he blows the trumpet and the people don't listen, their blood is on their own head. But if he sees the sword and blows not the trumpet, then their blood is on his head. And I don't want anybody else's blood on my head. So that's why I'm out here screaming from the rooftops to all 5 or 6 of my listeners. Quite a difference from when I was doing the Power Hour, man. We probably had 500,000 listeners in those days, but trying to build it back, and I need your help to do it. So if you're listening on BitChute or Rumble or YouTube or Facebook, please click like, share, and subscribe. But more importantly, word of mouth. Tell your friends, hey, man, there's this really cool show called the WTF Reports, as if we don't have enough reason to say WTF. Anyway, okay, that's going to wrap it up for the Wednesday edition. Thank you so much for your listenership. And God bless you all, and I will see you tomorrow.